Coming in at number 10 is Quentin Tarantino. The Pulp Fiction director just simply does not care about Marvel movies. During his appearance on the podcast Two Bears, One Cave, Tarantino reflected on the state of the film industry, saying that one of the outcomes of what he calls the Marvelization of Hollywood movies is a scarcity of movie stars. Quentin said, "You have all these actors who've become famous playing these characters, but they're not movie stars." He said, "Captain America is the star, Thor is the star." I mean, I'm not the first person to say that. I think that's been said a zillion times. It's these franchise characters that become the star. Though Tarantino said he doesn't love Marvel movies, he also doesn't hate them, describing his respect for them, quote, "My only axe to grind against them is that they're the only things that seem to be made, and they're the only things that seem to generate any kind of excitement." He continued saying, "They're the entire representation of this era of movies right now, and there's not really much room for anything else." Liu decided to respond to Tarantino, but I'll wait to explain that alongside our number 9 spot. Coming in at number 9 is another Golden Age director with Martin Scorsese. The acclaimed auteur wrote an essay for the New York Times in 2019, explaining his opinions on Marvel movies. He said, quote, "Honestly, the closest I can think of them as well made as they are, with actors doing the best they can under the circumstances, is theme parks." He adds, "It isn't the cinema of human beings trying to convey emotional, psychological experiences to another human being." Scorsese also famously told Empire magazine in 2019 that he didn't enjoy superhero films or even consider them to be cinema. Simu Liu decided to respond to Tarantino and Martin Scorsese in an interview with Britain's Empire magazine in 2019 following the Scorsese essay, saying, quote, "I am in awe of their filmmaking genius, they are transcendent auteurs, but no movie studio is ever or will ever be perfect. But I'm proud to work with one that has made sustained efforts to improve diversity on screen by creating heroes that empower and inspire people of all communities everywhere. I love the Golden Age too, but it was way too white." Coming in at number 8 is Ryan Gosling. Liu made an appearance with his co-star Gosling in a promotional event for the Barbie movie in Toronto last month. A short video went viral that captured Liu and his Ken counterpart Ryan Gosling in the throes of an uncomfortable photo op. Liu tried to cozy up with his co-star, wrapping an arm around Gosling's waist, but the fellow Canadian appears to not care for that one bit. Though inaudible, Gosling seems to tell Liu to not touch him like that, to which Liu responds while pulling away, "You don't what? Oh, it's too tender? Fair enough." Twitter users have attempted to explain this away, saying that Gosling was not trying to be mean, but instead simply has pictures of him taken for a living and knows how to capture his angles. Clips of the tense moment were immediately circulated widely on social media, with some fans wondering whether there was some simmering anger between the two co-stars. Gosling has yet to publicly comment on the viral video, but Liu has risen to the occasion and decided to tell all with his address of the moment on Instagram last Thursday. In a story post, the actor says, quote, "I'd beach off with this Canadian again in a heartbeat. He is the best human in every way, especially when he jokes around with us on the carpet and on set, affecting us all with his Kenergy." The post also featured a photo of him and Gosling, and he ended the post by saying, "Now let's get back to the issues that matter, like supporting our striking actors and writers fighting for fair wages." At number 7 is Margot Robbie. While Ryan Gosling may have kept his comments to himself, Margot Robbie, in perfect Barbie fashion, threw an insult at Simu so brilliantly that it came across as a compliment. In another press junket shared to TikTok by Vanity Fair, Robbie compared Liu to his on-screen variation of Ken. A Vanity Fair interviewer asked the actress who was closest to their on-screen Barbie or Ken character in real life. Robbie answering, quote, "Maybe Simu? He's such a Ken in real life," adding, "I love him." However, a shortened clip of the interview was spread across social media, and by way of the omission of Robbie's praise for Liu, people immediately assumed her comparison was a negative one. But even with the addition of Robbie's love for him, her comparison to the actor's on-screen depiction of Ken is still not being viewed as favorable by fans. Many have pointed out how this seems like a calculated dig about Liu, as Margot named the only Ken in the Barbie movie with overwhelmingly negative character traits. So I think it's fair to say that at least subconsciously, people may not be taking a liking to Simu. At number 6 is Francesca Ramsey. The TV writer and actress for Superstore and the iCarly reboot spoke out about Simu's reaction to a TikTok video about him that's been making rounds on social media recently. Last month, a TikTok user, Paris by Nightcore, shared her thoughts about how Simu is now the face of Asian diaspora. She went on to say, quote, "Notwithstanding his homophobic incel-adjacent past, he literally thinks his presence in Hollywood is the end-all be-all of Asian representation." A separate user then reshared the video on their Instagram, taking Liu's account. The Instagram user in question is now private and has just 258 followers on the app. Liu, however, apparently saw the video in his mentions, reshared it on his Instagram story, writing an expletive-filled rebuttal alongside it with the following point, explaining that he does not think he is the face of Asian diaspora and does not understand the accusation about him being homophobic or incel. How ironic. Although Simu has the right to feel annoyed about being tagged in strangers' hate posts, considering the size of his platform, Twitter users have called him out for publicly shaming the two women involved, deeming him irresponsible for doing so. This is where Francesca Ramsey stepped in with a tweet that said, "This is what I mean when celebs need a group chat. Simu has every right to feel any way about her post, but sharing it to his 3 million followers is inviting a pile-on and he knows that. He should have vented to his friends offline and left it at that." At our halfway point is the Huffington Post. The publication put out an article last month entitled, "We love Simu Liu, but he's not the only talented Asian thirst trap trap in Hollywood. The article went on to explain how much of Asian Twitter, quote, collectively scratched its head when they heard Liu was playing one of the many Kens featured in Barbie. The writer went on to say, "Don't get us wrong, we love Liu and we're all for an Asian king thriving, but when a single actor appears to be getting the bulk of Asian male roles in Hollywood, it starts to feel a little less like representation and more like tokenism." Adding, "All we're saying is we don't want a predominantly white Hollywood to gatekeep sexy Asian male representation like it has for decades when there are so many other attractive and talented Asian men who deserve to be seen and appreciated by the general public." In response, Liu went to Facebook to call the HuffPost article, quote, "the trashest take," further adding, "I'm not a thirst trap, I'm an actor." He went on to say, quote, "Way to attempt to pit us against one another. What bulk of roles are you referring to? Are there movies I'm in that I'm not aware of? Do you really think there's a quota of Asian male roles that is a zero-sum game?" Fans in the comments said that the article should have tackled the real issue at hand, which is the lack of roles and stories in television and film for Asian people. At number 4 is Toshiba. Before he was starring in Marvel movies or Barbie, Simu Liu was a model for stock photography. Hey, it's a job. In March, the actor tweeted about Toshiba using one of his old stock photos, writing, quote, "Toshiba, whatever you paid for this photo, I guarantee you I would have endorsed you for less. Now we're enemies." The offending photo in question shows Liu happily pointing at something in what appears to be a business setting. People responded to this tweet by showing off some of the other unexpected places they spotted Liu's old stock photos. On my EAP website, tweeted one person with a photo of Simu once again in some kind of business meeting from what appears to be the same shoot. I guess Simu would rather be known for his more famous or well-paying work, so it's awkward that Toshiba would continue to use his stock photos. At number 3 is Mark Wahlberg. The secondary Ken and Ted star have a strange relationship. It's not necessarily based in hatred, but it's odd nonetheless. In 1988, Wahlberg was convicted of assaulting 2 Vietnamese men, and in 2014, Wahlberg attempted to get his past hate crimes pardoned. This prompted Liu to tweet, "Let me get this straight. Mark Wahlberg assaulted a Vietnamese man until he was unconscious when he was 16, and is attempting to get the courts to grant him an official pardon on the basis that he's turned his life around." But in 2020, when Liu went on to star with Mark Wahlberg in Arthur the King, he decided to delete the past tweets that criticized his co-star. This led to Liu receiving some backlash on social media when he went on to defend his decision to delete said tweets. Simu said, "I deleted a couple of tweets I made regarding the past actions of one of my co-stars as a gesture of professionalism and to open the door to progressive conversations and positive change. I meant when I said in the moment I was very angry hearing about what happened, but that doesn't mean I don't think there's room to grow and work together to find an opportunity to educate and do some good. Progressive discussion will lead to dialogue." Fans felt as though he was selling himself out, having his name associated with Wahlberg and taking back the severity of his opinions after coming out so hard against his plea to be pardoned for his crimes. Our runner-up on this list is Constance Wu. The Fresh Off the Boat star wasn't happy with a joke made by Liu during the character media's annual Unforgettable Gala, even after she was assured such thing wouldn't happen. In 2019, Wu wrote a series of controversial tweets where she opened up about her dismay that Fresh Off the Boat had been renewed, saying that it was no longer satisfying work for her and alluded to the fact that it may be the reason for her subsequent attempt of taking her own life. Wu was invited to the gala to celebrate the renewal of the show, deciding to attend under the impression that no one would mention or mock her tweets, only to be sat in the front row and within 10 minutes have the host, Simu, crack a joke at her about the very topic. Wu said she felt ostracized and betrayed by the Asian American community because of the situation, feeling as though they were setting her up for the worst. The joke has never been made public, but Wu has revealed that Liu apologized to her privately, but Liu has never made any comment about his behavior. Our number 1 spot is the NBA. Now, not outright hatred, but a pretty messed up thing happened regarding Liu at the 2023 NBA All-Star Celebrity Game in Salt Lake City, during a video segment that aired during the event. An in-arena camera that displayed his photo alongside an Asian attendee during a celebrity lookalike segment. The men have no similarities to each other besides the fact that they were just Asian. Simu quickly responded to the segment in a tweet that read, "This is not cool because it supports the all Asians lookalike stereotype." However, several people commented on Liu's tweet, suggesting that the comparison was probably an ego boost for the fan. Liu later returned to Twitter to clarify his message, saying, "This was just one person with a camera and there's no disrespect to my man in the Videotron either. He's gorgeous, we just don't look alike." Coming in at number 10 is Adam McIntyre's allegations. Adam McIntyre, a former fan of Ballinger, has come forward in the controversy, serving as a primary source to her exploitation and misconduct. In a video aptly named My Relationship with Colleen Ballinger, McIntyre reveals at the age of 13, Ballinger had taken advantage of his admiration for her, manipulating him into unpaid labor through false promises of a future job.
And there were so many conversations on Snapchat where she told me that once I got out of college, that this was going to be my job. And I was very delusional to think that I was going to have that. And I was very delusional to think that I was going to get income for this. And I was very delusional to think that she cared about my ideas at all, because I never got credit. I never got credit. And there are so many viral moments of Miranda Sings that I have not gotten credit for. And it was all promised that if it went well, I would get the job.
In more disturbing developments, McIntyre also shared screenshots of a group chat where Ballinger engaged in emotional manipulation, bullying, and targeting of underage fans. McIntyre also disclosed that Ballinger once mailed him lingerie in the mail, something that Ballinger herself has admitted to but excused as a long-standing tradition of sending fans gifts. Solid justification. Number 9 is her creation of inappropriate content. Miranda Sings first appeared on the internet in 2008. To an untrained eye, the character was seemingly lighthearted who, at times, dealt with adult content. However, Ballinger included more than just a few innuendos in these YouTube videos, as she made references to the character Miranda's uncle attacking her and frequently mentioned X-rated films. What makes this situation so troubling is that Ballinger deliberately catered her Miranda Sings character to a younger audience. Taking on a childlike role and dressing in bright colors, she often slipped past the detection of parents and parental controls. Although her younger fans may not have always understood the topics being shown to them, there's a good chance that they'll become desensitized to the gravity of the subject matter or imitate it, especially when they see others laughing about it. At number 8, her book. Like many popular YouTubers in the early 2010s, Miranda Sings also had a book deal. The book, entitled Self-Health, is a quote, an unhelpful self-help book. The book has received its fair share of criticism for its vulgar content, with sections like make yourself feel better by making other people feel worse, wiping, and mentions of special cuddles with your uncle. I don't know if the term unhelpful really cuts it with such a strange and unnerving collection of tips.
Every page, but there's like truly a mistake on this page. So it teaches you how to draw a hot dog when it's supposed to look like a vagina. The 5th step is to add ketchup. And I wanted ketchup on the page, but we forgot to add it. And so, because I wanted it to look like a nasty vagina with blood on it, because I'm a pervert.
As this book is generally aimed at tweens, many parents were not pleased after purchasing this book for their young ones, when review calling Ballinger a terrible influence for the next generation. And oh, how that quote has aged. Number 7, her treatment of animals. In a now deleted YouTube video, Colleen nonchalantly describes intentionally tormenting her childhood dog until it bit her in the face, explaining that afterwards she lied and said she didn't know why the dog bit her. This act caused the dog to be put down. A traumatic and deeply sad story, although Colleen laughs while recounting this memory, showing very little remorse for her actions, as though she believed it to be nothing more than a funny story. At number 6, we have disrespecting an unhoused person. In another now deleted video that recently resurfaced, Colleen Ballinger and her friend Todrick Hall are seen harassing an unhoused person sleeping in a laundromat. In the needlessly cruel video, the duo points a camera towards the sleeping person and begins to make jokes at their expense. Harassing someone from a vulnerable community is an explicit show of Ballinger and Hall's lack of compassion, and neither of them have yet to take responsibility for their actions.
So we're at the laundromat.
Guys, watch, don't let this happen to you, okay? She woke up. She woke up. She's
And coming in at number 5 is her racist jokes. In a video from 10 years ago depicts both Ballinger and her sister in exaggerated makeup putting on accents that create a degrading stereotype of Latinas. This video was suitably called Miranda Sings is Racist. As well, a video entitled How to Sing Like a Black Woman made use of offensive and blatantly ignorant stereotypes of black people. Alongside this, the Miranda Sings Twitter account was home to a slew of offensive tweets making fun of Asian and black communities. The amount of racist incidents that Ballinger took part in makes it hard to believe that she wasn't called out about this earlier in her career. And coming in at number 4 is her ableist behavior. A quick examination of the Miranda Sings character will leave you feeling unsure as to whether or not this entire shtick is just an act of punching down. Ballinger's portrayal of the character has become increasingly controversial over time, intensifying traits such as her poor social skills and notorious imitation of a speech impediment. This is reminiscent of the comedic device portraying unattractive, outcast, and unintelligent characters through odd behavior and speech patterns. Perpetrating these harmful stereotypes influence how people with medical conditions that cause speech disorders and behavioral differences such as autism spectrum disorder, Huntington's disease, and vocal cord paralysis, among others, are viewed by themselves and the rest of the world. Ridiculing traits that are divergent from societal norms is not daring comedic genius deserving of praise, but instead should be acknowledged as an embarrassing part of Ballinger's history. And coming in at number 3 is her disregard for consent. The next one on our list is all about her disrespect towards her ex-husband Josh's lack of consent. There are many instances where Ballinger admits to making her ex-husband comfortable, including touching his butt simply because he doesn't doesn't want her to, and in a video on Joshua's YouTube channel titled "My Wife Put Her Hand Down My Pants" is pretty self-explanatory. The video depicts Ballinger supposedly putting her hand down his pants while he tells her to stop and is visibly uncomfortable. Both of the situations are incredibly disconcerting considering the allegations that have just come to light. And our runner-up is the annual cancer fundraiser. Since 2015, Ballinger has held fundraisers for Family Reach, an organization that supports families that have children with cancer. The legitimacy of what one may believe to be a noble pursuit has come into question after fans found that Colleen uses a third-party site, Fundly, which is not an option publicly provided by charities and organizations, to collect donations. Fundly puts the money into Ballinger's bank account instead of donating directly to the charity and has caused people to ask why she's acting as an unnecessary middleman and speculate whether she's using the fundraisers to lower her taxes. When approached about where the money is going and to see the receipts, Colleen avoids answering by saying that her haters hate that she's raising money for kids with cancer. These allegations have not been proven, however, it's confusing nonetheless. And coming in at number 1 is her glamorization of disordered eating. In many vlogs, Ballinger openly admits to unhealthy eating habits, in one video telling the viewers that she ate nothing more than a bag of chips for an entire day. Many believe that these mentions of poor nutrition are done to brag, as she's also been seen body checking in Instagram posts as well as a video entitled "My Body Before and After Quarantine." This behavior has had a direct effect on her fans. In Adam McIntyre's aforementioned video, he explained that Ballinger would often compliment him on his skinny arms and stomach, and mentions the persisting body image issues he suffers with at the hands of these comments. Although her behavior is inexcusable, eating disorders are incredibly difficult to overcome, and I hope Colleen is able to get the help that she needs.
Number 10, he fired everyone. After Musk completed his $44 billion acquisition of Twitter, he immediately decided to fire the company's leadership team. Within hours of the takeover, we know that he fired CEO Parag Agrawal, the head of legal Vijaya Gadde, chief financial officer Ned Siegel, and many others. In fact, 2 of them literally had to be escorted out of the building that was Twitter's San Francisco headquarters. From that point on, Musk went ahead with his plans to fire 75% of the company's employees, which was roughly 7,500 staff. He then brought Tesla engineers in as advisors. He also sent a company-wide email explaining, in an effort to place Twitter on a healthy path, we will go through the difficult process of reducing our global workforce, adding that Twitter's offices will be temporarily closed and all badge access will be suspended, in an effort to help ensure the safety of employees and Twitter overall. The mass firing brought about another headache for Musk, as many came together to file a class action lawsuit against the company and its new owner, claiming that firing them would be a violation of labor laws. They demanded that the court step in and issue an order that would require Twitter to follow the Worker Adjustment and Retraining Notification Act, which states that you have to give advance notice of at least 60 days for mass layoffs in large companies. They also wanted to stop Musk from forcing them to sign documents that could give up their right to pursue legal action against the company. Number 9, the pledge. Last month, the Twitter offices temporarily closed as hundreds of employees resigned after refusing to pledge their allegiance to Elon Musk. The tech billionaire called on Twitter's remaining employees to sign up for the long hours at high intensity or pack their bags. Hundreds of workers then band together and decided not to accept his new terms. One former Twitter employee, who wished to remain anonymous, told the BBC, "I think when the dust clears today, there's probably going to be less than 2,000 people left." They claimed that everyone in their team had been sacked. The person above that was one of the executives terminated on the first day, so there's nobody left in that chain of command. Another anonymous employee who spoke to the BBC said, "I didn't want to work for someone who threatened us over email multiple times about only exceptionable tweets should work here, when I was already working 60 to 70 hours weekly." So what was in the pledge and why was it so demanding? ABC News has reported that hundreds have sent the salute emoji over the company's Slack, which obviously means that they have walked out. Number 8, the Twitter Blue subscription. Last month, the company introduced their new subscription service, and that caused absolute chaos. In an effort to make the new system a significant source of revenue for the company, Musk has opened up Twitter's blue checks to anyone that was willing to pay for them. But it turned out that this was an absolute train wreck of an idea, because it didn't take long for users to take advantage of the new system. In the hours after the blue checks were put up for sale, the platform was flooded with all kinds of verified impersonators. Big brands were hit, as an account impersonator impersonating the pharmaceutical company Eli Lilly caused a particularly serious problem when it tweeted out, "We are excited to announce insulin is free now." That tweet went viral and stayed up for at least 2 hours before it was taken down. The real Eli Lilly account tried to correct it, but the damage was already done. Their stock price dropped sharply, as did those of other pharmaceutical companies which were also impersonated. Celebrities also grew frustrated with the idea, as it meant losing their status symbol as public figures, because it made the blue checkmark obtainable for anyone who wished to pay for it. Since then, the platform has relaunched the service, offering users verified status for $8 a month or $11 a month on their iPhone. Subscribers will apparently get more prominence on the platform and rocket to the top of replies, mentions, and searches. But this concept still remains a contentious one, and it doesn't seem like they'll ever be able to fully rid the network of impersonators. Number 7, reinstated Donald Trump. Twitter users were shocked when Musk organized a poll to determine whether or not people wish to see Donald Trump's account reinstated. Slightly over 15 million Twitter users voted in the poll, with 51.8% voting in favor of reinstatement. Musk then tweeted the results and said, "The people have spoken. Trump will be reinstated." For his part, the former president appeared less than excited over the news and said that he didn't see any reason to return to the platform. If you didn't know, Trump's account was taken down after the Capitol riots in January, as he was alleged to have taken part in inciting the violence. Instead, Trump insisted that he was going to be sticking with Truth Social, the app developed by Trump Media and Technology Group, which he said had better user engagement than Twitter anyway, and was doing phenomenally well. Overall, Musk's decision to simply let the people decide was heavily criticized. The National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, a leading US civil rights organization, urged all advertisers to stop funding to Twitter immediately and to pause their spending after Trump's reinstatement. The NAACP's president Derek Johnson said, "Any advertisers still funding Twitter should immediately pause all advertising. If Elon Musk continues to run Twitter like this, using garbage polls that do not represent the American people and the needs of our democracy, God help us all." Number 6, rise in hate speech. Since taking charge, the tech billionaire set up what he calls a content moderation council that's composed of people with widely diverse viewpoints, who was supposed to prevent the spread of misinformation and harmful content. But that very council that he put together seems to have already fallen through. Without warning, Musk abruptly dissolved the team just moments before they were scheduled to meet with company representatives. The council was an advisory group of nearly 100 independent, civil, human rights, and other organizations that the company formed in 2016 to address hate speech, exploitation, and other problems on the platform. In fact, a recent study conducted by Montclair State University confirmed that there was a spike in hate speech on Twitter since his takeover. The study tracked how often homophobic, anti-Semitic, and racial hate-driven terms were used. Researchers found that about 398 hate tweets an hour were made in the 12 hours after the acquisition were finalized, a number that nearly quadrupled from the 84 tweets an hour in the week leading up to the acquisition. Number 5, misusing his platform. Musk owns one of the most powerful social networks in the world, and he is set to become the most followed person on his own platform, but he's been called out for using his position as a means of targeting individuals that he disagrees with. It was recently reported that Twitter's former top safety official, Yoel Roth, was forced to flee his home after escalating personal attacks, specifically after Musk tweeted about his academic writing. Even though he misrepresented its content, Roth was the head of trust and safety at Twitter, and he was involved in many of the platform's decisions about what posts to remove and what accounts to suspend. Over the years, Musk has made disparaging tweets about certain individuals to his tens of millions of followers, who then feel compelled to launch an attack against them on his behalf. For example, his recent condemnation of Anthony Fauci, the top US health official, has also drawn immense backlash. Musk tweeted, "My pronouns are prosecute Fauci." As a result, Fauci has said that he has faced death threats from Musk's followers. In a press conference, the White House press secretary Karine Jean-Pierre called Musk's tweets dangerous and said that they are disgusting and divorced from reality, and we will continue to call that out and be very clear about that. Number 4, the Tesla Employees Survey. An internal Tesla workers survey that was recently obtained by Business Insider showed that employees have become frustrated with Musk's leadership and culture within the company. In fact, the results of this survey were so damning that it was also used in a shareholder lawsuit against him, and it turns out that 65% of Tesla professionals, managers, executives, and directors said that they trusted him to balance employee interests with those of the company. 67% said they believed Musk cares about the company's employees, but many other responses about him showed employees complaining about his company culture, leadership, approachability, and communication. Also, his work timelines and firings. One worker said, "Elon is a technical leader of the highest order, and yet is widely seen as an unapproachable tyrant who devalues acknowledges the contributions of the staff and may fire them on a whim. He treats people, the fundamental unit of a company, like any other expendable resource. Another worker wrote that they felt at any point I or anyone around me will be fired, and called the company an extremely toxic environment. Third employee claimed that Musk's ego needed to change and said that he was bullying people into making unrealistic commitments. The survey essentially confirmed what Twitter employees have been saying about having him as their boss. At both companies, he's pushed workers to meet insane goals and is known for his high intensity. In the past, several former executives have come out saying that he's a difficult person to work for. Number 3, the Elon Jet account. The controversy started when Musk permanently suspended an account that tracked the location of his private jet, despite the fact that he initially promised to leave it up as a part of his commitment to free speech. The Elon Jet account, which had amassed more than 500,000 followers, was run by Jack Sweeney, a 20-year-old Florida college student who used publicly available flight tracking information to build a Twitter bot that tweeted every time his jet took off and landed at an airport. Sweeney woke up on Wednesday morning to a message from Twitter informing him that his account had been permanently suspended. Apparently, Musk had been frustrated with his idea for quite some time. In fact, it bothered him so much that he personally reached out to Sweeney last December through a private message asking him to take his account down because it posed a security risk. The billionaire then offered him $5,000 to shut it down, but the student became emboldened and countered the offer, asking for $50,000 instead to help pay for his college fees and maybe get him a car. After some back and forth, Musk responded saying, "It doesn't feel right to pay to shut this down." He also posted his justification for the new policy, tweeting, "Any account doxing real-time location info of anyone will be suspended, as it is a physical safety violation." The resulting scandal seemed to exacerbate the issue of his growing unpopularity as a whole. Number 2, silencing journalists. Last week, the world was shocked when Musk suspended a group of tech journalists from the platform with a sketchy explanation at best, and claimed that these accounts were now violating the company's rules about revealing people's location. He claimed that he did this under the guise of safety and said that these journalists had doxed him, but we already know that this was not the real reason. In fact, it was a lot more to do with the fact that they all reported on him in an unflattering way. Lopez was a prime example of that. The Business Insider journalist claimed that her account was suspended after she shared court documents on Twitter, revealing that Musk had allegedly hacked and doxed people in the past. She said, "He's never been any different from that. We're just all seeing it now. The reason I felt I was suspended is because Elon didn't want them to see him as a hypocrite." And coming in at number 1, users voted against him. The incident was shocked when Musk asked Twitter users whether or not he should step down as the head of the company, promising to abide by the results of his poll. More than 10 million people, or 57.5 users, voted in favor of him stepping down. Interestingly enough, he did not tweet in the immediate hours after the poll. His silence was finally broken when he responded with "interesting" to multiple suggestions that the results of the poll were skewed by fake accounts. Eventually, he did say that he will resign when he finds someone foolish enough to take the job, but he claimed that he will still run the software and service teams after his replacement is found. In fact, he reportedly told remaining workers that the company could see a net negative cash flow of several $billion in 2023, and bankruptcy is not out of the question.
Coming in at number 10, we have fan reactions. With all the drama surrounding Hailey Bieber's seemingly mean girl antics, many fans have begun to come forward by sharing their experience with the model. One user described the time when she met Hailey at a concert, then went on to ask her for a photo. She describes the event saying, "I went up to her and said, 'Hey Hailey, I'm a big fan,' but you could tell she was not happy." The user recalls that Hailey huffed and rolled her eyes. Allegedly, after taking the photo, Hailey asked the fan, "Do you want anything else from me?" before turning to walk away with her friends while loudly mocking the fan. The fan tells her TikTok viewers, "They said it so loud it's like they wanted me to hear it. So I was like, okay, well, she's a bit of a mean person." Another social media user came forward describing the time she had when both Hailey and her were both signed to the same modeling agency as teenagers. She recalls by saying, "She was so cold to me. She treated me like trash. It was just the vibe she gave off, like she really thought she was better than everyone else in the room." And I'm like, girl, we're both signed to the same agency. She went on to say, "I don't believe that celebrities owe anybody anything, but you know, it's one of those moments where you shouldn't meet up with people you look up to or idolize. But imagine meeting a star who you look up to at your place of work." A host from a high-end Manhattan restaurant shared her experience with Hailey, rating it a 3.5 out of 10. She said in her video on TikTok, "I've met Hailey a handful of times and she was not not nice. I really want to like her, but I have to give her a 3.5 out of 10. Hailey discussed this viral video on YouTube in a sit-down discussion with a psychiatrist. She said, "I wish I didn't act that way towards her, but I'm human and I made a mistake, and I acted in a way that was out of character for me. I acted in a way that I don't want to be." But with many fans making videos about their own experience meeting the star, it leaves many fans wondering if this is just the way she is, or are we catching her on bad days? Number 9. Jeffree Star's call-out. Jeffree Star, the makeup influencer, has recently shared his opinion on Hailey's skincare brand, Rhode, and a few fans seem to agree. In a TikTok video that seemed to have been since deleted, Jeffree shares his take on the brand, starting off by saying, "Okay, the packaging is so boring," before adding, "In this house, we are Team Selena and we are not bullying anyone." When he goes back to the packaging, he points at a photo of Hailey and says, "And when I open it up, girl, focus. Oh my god, what is this face? Oh my god, this is the face, like, why did I do this? Why did I create a skincare brand?" Even adding, "When you're so privileged and you use daddy's money and you've never worked a day in your life, I guess this is what we're doing now." Jeffree even held up the package above his kitchen trash can and said to his viewers, "So we're going to skip the review today. And just like Shawn Mendes, bye." When some viewers did side with the influencer, other viewers wrote that this is bullying, what she claimed he wasn't going to do. Even with Jeffree's approach being quite loud in public, many other fans were left wondering about Hailey behind the scenes, as more celebrities have unfollowed her on most of her platforms. And at number 8, we have the obsession with Selena. If you've been on the Hailey and Selena side of TikTok, I'm sure you've seen the comparisons of Hailey copying Selena, with fans even going as far back even to show how deep the Selena obsession has been for the model. One user showed some clips of similarities between Selena's cooking show, Selena and the Chef, and Hailey's 2022 YouTube series, What's in My Kitchen, with the side-by-side clips showing how the stars have invited their grandma to the show to make their favorite dishes. Many believe there is no coincidence that Hailey is just trying to be exactly like Selena, down to the cooking show. Others have compared past interview responses where both Selena and Hailey said they wish people knew their heart. One of the comparisons between both stars has made TikTok users sure of the obsession is the seemingly matching tattoos. Selena got a tattoo just behind her ear in a small lowercase g for her sister Gracie. Then, just 2 years later, Hailey got a similar G tattoo behind her ear as well, as a tribute to the Seattle megachurch pastor's daughter, Georgia, who was born with a rare brain disorder. If those weren't enough for fans, some even found Hailey's old tweets about her love for Selena. In 2011, the model tweeted, "I don't care what anyone says, but Justin Bieber and Selena Gomez together is a definition of a teenage dream." With another saying, "Selena Gomez is so cute, don't argue, bye." With more and more internet detectives finding comparisons between the alleged obsession, it's most likely very hard to hide from, because as many of you know, Hailey is a TikTok lover. And at number 7, we have a Justin Bieber superfan. Not only was Hailey known to be a big Selena Gomez fan, but she is also said to be a big Justin Bieber superfan as well, with photos emerging of the model as a teen kissing posters of Justin and attending many of his concerts. Many fans believe Hailey is a believer who just played all of her cards right. She has also been allegedly caught following Selena fan accounts in the past. In 2018, screenshots surfaced showing Hailey following a fan account called House of Sell. After being outed for this, she quickly unfollowed and DM'd the account explaining how this was an accident. When she was younger, she's even been seen at events smiling while she holds up a magazine with Selena and Justin on the cover. A few others have speculated that it could have been Stephen Baldwin, Hailey Bieber's dad, that really set this couple up. With video evidence of their first interaction, we can see Stephen introducing Hailey to Justin and telling him that they've been enjoying his music. With all this, it kinda looks like Justin was aware of Hailey's superfan personality. He posted a photo on his Instagram story of Hailey and captioned it, "People always ask me if I'd marry a belieber," and well, I did. And at number 6, we have dissing Taylor Swift. Taylor and Hailey have had their trouble with being involved in drama over the years. However, they haven't had direct problems between each other up until recently. The social media drama happened when a video resurfaced on social media showing Hailey with the rapper Method Man during an episode of Drop the Mic. In the clip, Hailey was seen rolling her eyes and sticking her tongue out when Method Man said, "Hollywood's top stars face off on a one-to-one battle," full of the meanest lyrics about a celebrity since Taylor Swift's last album. The video even made it to Selena Gomez's For You page, unfortunately for Hailey. Selena quickly came to the defense of her friend Taylor and commented, "So sorry, my best friend is and continues to be one of the best in the game. We all know how close Taylor and Selena are, so of course this isn't gonna help Hailey in her case of not being a mean girl. Selena even said when talking about Taylor, "I never fit in with the cool girls that were celebrities. My only friend in this industry really is Taylor, so I remember feeling like I didn't belong." This left fans wondering if maybe there was some bad blood before this that led up to the gagging over Taylor. Though the two were never necessarily close, it doesn't seem like there's any hatred beforehand. Hailey even shared her positive feedback online about the film Cats, which Taylor starred in, saying, "My Christmas gift from the universe is the release of the Cats movie." Rumors have also been surfacing as if this could be an extension of the feud between Taylor and Justin Bieber. Not only from the history between Justin and her best friend Selena, but also because he is close to his manager Scooter Braun, who is also the man that bought all of her music catalog and who she claims has bullied her alongside Justin. Though Taylor has not yet publicly said anything about Hailey, it does seem tense. Taylor having you in her burn book can never be good though. Number 5, we have the problematic tweets. Does Hailey Bieber have a bit of a racist past? Over the past few years, internet detectives have revealed various tweets that show her as not only being a little bit racist but homophobic. Since then, Hailey has gotten massive backlash for her past. Without really addressing it, she ended up leaving Twitter in 2020, saying she was getting bullied. But don't worry, it seems like everyone took screenshots, which have left people absolutely horrified. In a few tweets, she refers to people as the N-word, and in another back in 2013, she wrote, "To the foreigners who don't celebrate Thanksgiving, so sorry your country didn't have pilgrims and Indians to start such a sick holiday." It's definitely pretty bad. She even went on to like a pretty homophobic post, which says, "Let me clarify, the Bible stands against homosexuality and I stand with the Bible." Hailey then commented on the post writing, "So good." When a pile of evidence about her past began emerging, she was quick to leave Twitter. Unfortunately for Hailey, digital footprints live forever. And at number 4, we have the shade towards Selena. Selena and Hailey have been the center of drama speculation since Hailey got with Justin in 2018, right after Selena. Fans have been following their every move to see if the two really did hate each other. So when the eyebrow situation happened, with Hailey seemingly bullying Selena's laminated eyebrows, the internet spiraled. Though Hailey and Justin have both decided to stay private during the situation, it hasn't stopped people from watching their socials for clues. So when the stylist Vaughn Ford posted a story that wrote, "I hate Selena," fans were wondering why he was getting involved at all, and if Hailey was saying things about Selena behind the scenes. He then shared a screenshot of his post that had been taken down due to harassment and wrote, "I said what I said." Since this post, the stylist has made his account private, and even though Hailey doesn't follow him, it didn't take fans long to realize that the two were connected. Vaughn had photos of working with Hailey on his Instagram account at the time these posts were made public. Hailey was also listed as one of his top clients on his official website. But of course, in the midst of all the drama, Vaughn Ford's very public stance, she has been since removed from the website. When fans saw that a friend of Hailey was now the one publicly bullying Selena, one commented, "It's always Hailey's friends." And another added, "You can tell all they do is talk about Selena. These people have issues and are so pressed over her. The hate is so real." This had fans torn as to whether Vaughn's actions are representative of Hailey or it's just his own opinion. And at number 3, we have suing the doctor. Is Hailey caving into the pressures of Hollywood? Some believe she absolutely can't take the heat after threatening to sue a doctor on TikTok. In a cease and desist letter, attorneys of Justin and Hailey accused Dr. Daniel Barrett of using her name, image, and likeness to commercially advertise plastic surgery and spread false claims that Hailey has undergone plastic surgery in the past. Hailey also accused the doctor of using copyrighted protected lyrics from Justin Bieber's song being in the video. In the video, it shows 2 photos of Hailey years apart, and Dr. Barnett says, "Pay close attention to the nose." What do you think? I think it's physically impossible without getting a little bit of help from someone like myself to get from this picture to that picture. In a statement to E! News, the doctor said, "The purpose of my TikTok is to increase the transparency of plastic surgery and to educate people." He went on to say, "The purpose of my video was to share my opinion about the procedures that I believe she may have had done based on the photos alone." Many fans think Hailey's reaction was a bit dramatic though, considering many plastic surgeons have shared their opinions in the past on what they believe other celebrities have had done. Number 2, we have Shawn Mendes. The relationship or situationship between Hailey and Shawn is a little bit complicated. Shawn more or less has admitted they were involved in the past, but they both refused to put a label on their past relationship. Shawn said in an interview with Rolling Stone, "I don't even want to put a title on it. I think it was more of a zone of limbo. After being seen holding hands during Halloween and then cuddling over the holidays, it seemed they were keeping it casual due to the distance." Two ended up being each other's date to the Met Gala in May, but by June, Hailey was back with Justin and engaged just a month later. At the time, Shawn claimed that he wasn't bitter, saying to Patrick Doyle from the Rolling Stone, "I get it, you know, I'm really happy for them." Patrick said said when recalling this information, it seems like he might want to say a little bit more about how it all went down, but he stops himself. You can't control your heart. Though he has never publicly said anything bad about Hailey, they did have an awkward encounter at the 2021 Met Gala. Camila Cabello, Sean, and the Biebers all ran into each other. Sean lightly hugged but barely looked at Hailey, primarily focusing more on Justin. The interaction lasted no longer than a few seconds, but a few fans thought the whole thing was cringeworthy. Considering how close the timeline was with Justin and Sean, many think Hailey was just using him to kill time until Justin was single again. And at number 1, we have the quick marriage. Justin has revealed in the past how he struggled after marrying Hailey. He shared, "It's a journey. I remember when I first got married, I hit a little bit of an emotional breakdown because I thought marriage was going to fix all my problems, and it didn't." Many fans have also speculated that Hailey might just have been a rebound for Justin, who was struggling to get over his ex Selena. Even though he ended up getting engaged to Hailey months after Selena, reports have stated that he was still in love with her. I mean, he didn't really give himself a chance to really get over her before moving on. Allegedly, the two even got married on a whim. Their quick engagement may have also had a quick wedding. A source close to the star claims that about 2 months after the couple got engaged, they secretly tied the knot. TMZ obtained photos of Hailey and Justin at the New York courthouse, which provides marriage license. After he allegedly thanked the court for keeping it on the DL, he appears to cry, telling Hailey how excited he is to marry her. Speculations began surfacing about how Hailey perhaps forced the quick marriage. She made it clear in interviews that she wasn't getting any younger. She says, "My sister was 24 when she got married, and my parents also got married when they were young too. I see no reason to wait. When you know it's right, it's right." At number 10, breaking up a marriage. So let's start at the beginning. J-Lo and Ben Affleck first met in the set of the 2003 rom-com Jilly, who played love interests. It quickly becomes more than that on set though, going from reportedly very close friends to confirming their relationship in 2002. The timeline, I must admit, is a bit strange, considering she was married to Chris Judd for just 9 months while filming the movie. Confirming their divorce by June 2002, we have to ask the question, did Ben break up her marriage? Chris's dad may seem to think so. In 2003, Larry Judd, Chris's father, said Chris is probably the best thing that ever happened to her. Chris is a one-woman guy. His thing was to motivate her and to keep her life in perspective. Chris said there was no problems, and I know there were. I told him maybe she would come out of it, but she just didn't, and she ended up jumping in with the worst person that she possibly could be with. J-Lo has been reported to be infatuated with Ben right from the beginning, making a few fans question if their relationship possibly started a lot earlier than we were told. Ben has always denied these claims, saying when he met her they just became very good friends, because she was married after all. There's no thought of a romantic relationship, so that created the opportunity to get to know each other without the falseness that goes into courtship, because you're trying to make a good impression. Just a month before J-Lo and Chris confirmed their divorce, Ben took ads out in Variety and The Hollywood Reporter to talk about just how much he loved working with Jennifer. He signed at the end of his apparent love letter with, "I only wish I were lucky enough to work with you in all your movies. With love, respect, and gratitude." When asked about this gesture, he explained that he was just trying to counteract the bad press that J-Lo was getting from apparently being a bit of a diva. But I don't know, what do you guys think? Number 9, weird gifts. Ben Affleck has never been shy about his apparent obsession with J-Lo's butt. Do you remember when he kissed her lower cheek in a music video for Jenny on the Block? Even going as far as describing her behind as a famous thing, and that it should be treated well. It gets even stranger though. Ben seemed to take his own advice of treating it well to a whole other level by getting her a really bizarre gift. We all know Jennifer has always been pretty excited and open to share about her love of all things sparkly. Some even saying her obsession can sometimes get a little bit out of hand. Ben took note of this, and in 2003, at the height of their relationship, he reportedly gifted the star a jewel-encrusted toilet seat. This was allegedly worth $105,000. Sapphires, rubies, pearls, and a diamond were laid within the plastic so J-Lo wouldn't get scratched. Well, on The Tonight Show with Jay Leno in 2003, he talks about the toilet seat, suggesting it might be some sort of Christmas present by saying, "I was in the Gulf for Christmas, and then flew back right at the end, just in time to pick up the toilet seat for my girlfriend. Even if this was a joke, it didn't stop fans and the media to make speculations. When JLo was asked about the gift by People in 2011, she said, "Obviously not, that's just so weird." But if we go in to consider her clean freak habits by getting a custom-made toilet seat cover to keep the germs away, we have to wonder if this rumor might just be true. Number 8, canceled wedding. After Ben popped the question in November 2002, they were set to get married in September 2003 in Santa Barbara, California. It was set to be quite a star-studded affair, with 200 guests getting ready to fly out for their big day, with big names like Bruce Willis, Courtney Cox, and Matt Damon, just to name a few. Everyone was pretty excited to attend the wedding, which reportedly cost just over $2.5 million. But just 4 days before the two were set to tie the knot, the whole event was called off. Calling it more of a postponement rather than a split made fans very concerned for the couple, lovingly called Benifer. The reason for the postponement was said to be due to the fact that the ceremony had been leaked to the press. The couple issued a statement to fans and friends which read, "We began to feel the spirit of what should have been the happiest days of our life could be compromised. We felt what should have been a joyful, sacred day could be spoiled for us, our families, and our friends." An anonymous insider told the media that Jennifer was so upset by having to postpone her wedding that when she called guests, she was hysterically crying. People reported at the time that the couple did briefly split up immediately after their canceled wedding, but did try to rekindle their relationship. Eventually, they ended up calling it quits, just 4 months later. In 2008, Ben revealed that the primary end of their relationship is that they were just far too accessible, saying, "I don't think either of us anticipated the degree on which it would take on a work of its own." Number 7, rekindling. Throughout the years, the couple have been known to have stayed very good friends, always supporting each other's achievements as well as never having a bad thing to say about the other. In a book back in 2016, JLo confessed that it was just the wrong time for the both of them. She revealed saying, "I felt like, okay, this is it, but sometimes I feel like what you think people are and how you see them when you love them is different than what they reveal later. I think different time, different thing. Who knows what could have happened?" There was a genuine love there. After news came out of JLo's split from fiancé Alex Rodriguez, it is reported that the two wasted no time at all and were seen spending time together just weeks after her breakup. It has been reported that even weeks before her split, Ben had been emailing JLo about how beautiful she looked in her new movie Shotgun Wedding. Allegedly more flirty than friendly, he was stressing about how much he wished he could be with her. If you thought, wow, that seems really fast, then you aren't alone. Many started speculating yet again that the relationships may have just been overlapping. Number 6, engaged. Again, confirming the news of her engagement on her newsletter on the JLo. She shares a video showing off her green engagement ring. Linda Lopez, the star's sister, also shares photos on her Instagram story, writing, "So, this happened. Love you both," and tagging the stars. An insider told Us Weekly, Ben and Jen wanted their wedding to be an elaborate statement of their love story for their friends and family. They really wanted everyone to just have a good time. They wanted it to be intimate, yet immaculate. This comes just 7 years after Ben's split with Jennifer Garner, who he had 3 children with, and just 1 year after JLo's breakup with Alex. Back in April, the two seemed to be gearing up for another huge ceremony, with insiders saying the couple wouldn't spare any expenses. This left a few fans wondering what the Jennifers really thought about each other. As we know, Ben and Garner co-parent children, and JLo coming in as their new stepmom could be interesting. Without too much being said, ended appearing as if they're one big happy family so far. We can't forget the time Ben threw Garner under the bus. Ben, when talking about his marriage with Garner, was reported saying if he were still with Garner, they would be at each other's throats, claiming he would have turned to another mind-numbing substance, believing he couldn't leave because of his children, which is a pretty wild thing to say about your ex-wife and the mother of your children. Many fans came to Garner's side, forcing Ben to stress how these comments were taken out of context. With all of this coming to light, a Vanity Fair interview emerged in 2016 with Garner saying when talking about Ben, "When his sun shines on you, you feel it, but when the sun is shining elsewhere, it's cold. He can cast quite a shadow." Number 5, wedding day. After a full 2 decades, the wedding finally happened. The two ended up eloping in Vegas in July 2022, sharing photos in her newsletter saying, "We did it. Love is beautiful, love is kind." Despite having plans for a huge ceremony, the two ended up just going for it, and they jetted off to Las Vegas for a speedy wedding. We have to wonder though, why so quickly? And why not the wedding ceremony J-Lo has been talking about? Reportedly because J-Lo was feeling the pressure and she was worried Ben would get cold feet and back out. Is this also what could have happened last time? These last-minute plans were a surprise to everyone, but was it too spontaneous for Ben's other 3 children to be in attendance? With only Emma, J-Lo's daughter, and Serafina, one of Ben's daughters, were there to see the parents getting married. According to an insider source, Violet, Ben's 17-year-old daughter, didn't want to attend because she's loyal to her mom, which is definitely a bit of a worrying thing for what the future holds and how J-Lo is gonna fit into their lives. Ben reportedly did also tell Garner about the wedding, but since it was so last minute and predominantly spur of the moment, she also was not able to make it. Number 4, bad for his career. Ben has opened up in the past about how his career took a turn for the worst in the early 2000s. While he did star in a few films here and there during the time, they didn't end up doing too well. He has claimed that this could be due to the fact that his relationship with J-Lo was so publicized. The attention that came with it was seemingly a part of why his career was in a little bit of a lull. When sharing about his personal life at the time, the star says, "What happens is this sort of bleed over from the tabloids across your movie work. I ended up in the unfortunate crosshair position where I was in a relationship and the media mostly lied and inflated a bunch of stuff for the sake of selling magazines. Well, I certainly paid the price for that." Number 3, accused of cheating. In August 2003, 1 month before calling it quits on their wedding plans, the National Enquirer reported some interesting news on Ben. In the report, an exotic dancer named Tammy Morris reveals some of the events that occurred when she spent an evening with the star, claiming to be with the actor and 3 other dancers when he picked the 4 of them up in Brandy's exotic nightclub in Vancouver. She does go on to say, "It's a night I'll never forget, but I'm sure it's one he'll want to forget." He allegedly told the dancers to keep this between them after giving them each a very large tip. After this story came out, Antonella Santini, one of the exotic dancers, filed a slander suit against the National Enquirer. She was claiming the story was fake. She also claimed that Tammy was paid $100,000 by the tabloid to tell this fake story. When Ben was asked about this and the authenticity, he called the report total garbage. Not denying he did go to the nightclub that night, he did say he called J-Lo, and she reportedly said it was cool. What do you guys think? Maybe just another incident of tabloids trying to get a story, or could there maybe be some truth to it? Number 2, disinterest at the Grammys. Even though this year's Grammys was full of history-making events, drama, and amazing performances, Ben looked super disinterested through the whole thing. Cameras captured Ben sitting very somberly next to his new wife J-Lo. Many fans took to their socials to express how they felt Ben looked like he wanted to be literally anywhere else. One Twitter user wrote, "Ben Affleck is so consistent in his misery, I almost have to admire it." And another writing, "You can see his batteries draining in real time. Man is already at 23%. During the performance Back to Motown medley, cameras show J-Lo dancing happily, while Ben just looks on miserably. This already be signs of marriage troubles." And at number 1, J-Lo snapping at Ben. The newlyweds of 6 months already were looking like they were having some trouble in paradise. Having front row seats to the Grammys really just means you can't avoid the cameras at all. With many making jokes about Ben's miserable looking face, others were more concerned about what appeared to be Jen snapping at him. Cameras panning to the newlyweds shows what appears to be Ben whispering something into Jen's ear. A body language interpreter studied the scene, saying Jennifer's response to Ben's whisper looks firm and knee-jerk. Her head whipped around to suggest that what he said shocked her. One of her hands grabbed her own knee while the other clutched Ben's leg in what looked like a controlled gesture. Judy James, the body language interpreter, also points out how there were no smiles afterward, looking like a pretty confrontational scene. A lip reader also reveals what J-Lo appears to be saying to her new husband, reportedly saying, "Look more friendly, look motivated," and he responds with what looks like, "I might." A source came forward to defend the two, saying, "Jen and Ben had a fun date night out at the Grammys, but they have been both very busy working on several projects, and Ben has been feeling very tired. Jen knows Ben is a great husband, and they still made sure to have a good night together."
At number 10, we have verbally attacking Christopher Mintz during his Superbad audition. Beloved actor Christopher Mintz, otherwise known as Fogo McDougal or McLovin in the movie Superbad, was apparently wildly mistreated by his co-star Jonah Hill during the audition process. Auditions are nerve-wracking on a good day, but it certainly doesn't make them any easier when someone's being deliberately mean to you the whole time. Producer Judd Apatow remembered the audition, saying Mintz was very caustic and attacked Jonah and did improvs insulting Jonah as per the character requested, but Jonah let his insecurity get to him, apparently not caring for Christopher Sneggs, getting back at him in ways that he certainly didn't have to. Seth Rogen said that Jonah immediately hated him, saying that he was messing with his rhythm and couldn't perform with that guy around. Apatow added that Jonah said, "I don't like that guy and I don't want him doing it." And I said, "That's exactly why we're hiring him. It couldn't be more perfect. The fact that it bothers you is exactly why we want him." Which was a true read, because their dynamic in Superbad definitely seems to have come quite naturally to the boys. Hill says about his experience with Chris was really amazing off the bat, and I think he was just really annoying to me at the time, and his apparent irritation was apparently grounds to try and get him rejected from playing the role. This whole situation is a display of Jonah's insecurity, not wanting someone in the room to be funnier or cooler than him, and since Jonah's controversial texts have become public, Twitter users have commented on the situation, with Chris user Doja Cat saying, "I knew Jonah Hill was a red flag when I found out he hated this human chipmunk right off the bat. Like, damn, you're a hater." At number 9, we have DiCaprio's revenge. Jonah co-starred alongside Leonardo DiCaprio in the 2013 film The Wolf of Wall Street, and their work together had cultivated in some pretty legendary as well as concerning pranks. Due to some rough treatment Hill received at Leo's hands, Jonah decided to plot some particularly nasty revenge against him. Hill explained that the film contains scenes requiring him and DiCaprio to act out physical fights, saying, "He basically beat me up for 6 months and he's bigger than me, so I couldn't really retaliate or cause any damage to him." Although this was in the sport of movie magic, Hill wasn't happy with having his ego damaged and came up with something devious. In one scene they shot near the end of filming, DiCaprio and Hill's character eat sushi, and Hill's character is supposed to take the last piece and eat it when asked. But Hill went off script and told DiCaprio to eat it instead, and DiCaprio complied. But as we know, movies don't happen in one take, so Leo had to eat the sushi again and again. Hill says that they had to take 100 takes of him eating sushi over and over again. And I was like, this is my revenge right here. Later that night, Hill's plan unfolded with DiCaprio puking up all of the sushi, and now, I know the man is a comedian, but making someone vomit because their character stage punches you seems a little bit extreme. Coming in at number 8 is his insults toward Jennifer Lawrence. On the set of 2021's most disappointing film, Don't Look Up, Jonah starred alongside Hunger Games actress Jennifer Lawrence. The two didn't have what we would call an amicable relationship on set, because behind the scenes, Lawrence recently revealed that working with Hill was actually really hard. She says that the difficulty she faced on set was due to, quote, Hill's improv skills, and on one day dedicating an entire day to him just improving insults at the actress. Lawrence claims that he found his behavior funny, and although I believe her, he may have just gotten lucky to have a co-star that finds being endlessly insulted a good time. Everything Jen says about Jonah's comedic genius almost seems forced so as to not offend any fans of the beloved comedian, and it's also kind of hard to criticize someone who claims everything they do is a joke. Now at number 7 is Jonah's use of a homophobic slur, and although this behavior is never okay, he added insult to injury by saying it in a pretty combative context. In 2014, Jonah became increasingly fed up with a photographer's comment about his outfit, as one photographer quipped, mocking his floral print board shorts, saying, "I like the shorts though, bro, they're pretty sexy." Apparently, Jonah can't take an insult himself and decided to say the most offensive thing he could think of, being that of a homophobic slur. This choice of words obviously does not line up with Jonah's values, as the actor has been a very vocal supporter of gay rights and famously blasted Russia's anti-gay laws leading up to the Winter Olympics. However, that means that this is a definitive show of cognitive dissonance. Jonah appeared on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon to apologize for what he'd said, addressing not simply The Tonight Show's studio audience, but all of humanity. And Hill solemnly said that if someone says something that hurts you or angers you, use me as an example of what not to do. Don't respond with hatred or anger, because you are just adding more ugliness to the world. And I assume Hill's apology was sincere, but many have speculated that this was simply a PR stunt to save face. Coming in at number 6 is Jonah's bad temper in interviews. An infamously uncomfortable interview Hill gave with the Rolling Stone in 2013 entitled The Doobie Brothers Letting Up with the Stars of This Is the End, the actor came across as obnoxious and prideful as he took himself too seriously. In the interview, Hill says, "I've done one of the biggest challenges you can do in Hollywood, which is transition from being a comedic actor to being a serious actor, and I'm really prideful of that." Which, my god, could you stroke your ego a bit more? Many of Hill's co-stars and former interviewers warned the publication before interviewing the comedian, saying that he does this weird psycho staring thing at you, and Apatow described Hill as an angry nerd. When asked for tips on the interview process with Hill, Rogan replied, "He is serious, he is, which I'm not, and I don't know how to approach him. It's a good question," which is strange considering the duo are seemingly friends and should know how the other acts in situations situations like this. During the course of the Rolling Stone interview, Hill refused to talk about his workout routine, telling the magazine it's of little relevance, but that was only the beginning, as after a few more silly questions, Jonah lost it, saying to the interviewer, "I'm not answering dumb questions, I'm not the kind of person. Being in a funny movie doesn't make me have to answer dumb questions, it has nothing to do with who I am." And while the questions were asked in a joking manner, it didn't seem out of place, especially since his co-stars each almost gleefully answered. And coming in at number 5 is Andrew Tate's endorsement of Jonah's comments. It's not Jonah's fault that Andrew decided to comment on this controversy, however, it's never a good sign when Tate's on your side. Regarding his expectations in a partner, the controversial social media influencer and convicted criminal known for his controversial opinions and self-proclaimed misogyny, Andrew Tate retweeted a post by Candace Owens defending Jonah Hill's leaked texts. Owens' tweet claimed that there's nothing wrong with Hill's desires in a partner and criticized women in society today. Tate's endorsement of Hill's behavior came as no surprise given his track record of provocative statements on social media, and shows us with solid evidence that perhaps Jonah's opinions on how women should behave aren't necessarily ones that we should be promoting or agreeing with. At number 4 is Jonah's misuse of therapized language. In Brady's post of her ex-boyfriend's text messages, she highlights the problematic nature of Hill's texts, emphasizing his misuse of language regarding boundaries and suggesting that he would gaslight her to maintain control over her life, what she wears, her career moves, and her actions. Brady wrote on Friday that she posted the text screenshots as a warning to all girls and that Hill has misused the term boundaries and just how he intended to use the word. She went on to share the photo of herself in a two-piece outfit that she had previously removed at Hill's request, saying that it infringed on his relationship boundaries to have it posted, although it wasn't revealing in the slightest, simply showing a bit of midriff and her legs. And Hill also called for the removal of a video of Brady surfing as she was in a bathing suit, which Brady begged to keep up as it was her quote best surfing video and was not done with the intention of even receiving male attention. She also added a text thread between them where she shows Hill the removal of these posts, to which he replied nothing more than "good start." These acts of control are in no way classified as breaking partnership boundaries, but instead many social media users have come forward saying that sometimes men go to therapy, receive knowledge of therapized language, only to spin its meaning to further abuse and manipulate their partners. Coming in at number 3 is the Stutz documentary. Jonah embarked on a documentary project in early 2022. Entitled Stutz is an insight into the psychological practice of Dr. Phil Stutz, showing the main techniques used by him throughout the years to help his patients live healthier, happy lives, and the interaction between him and Jonah. Many viewers have condemned the project, voicing the issues of such a friendly relationship with a paid psychotherapist. The doc was deemed a controversial display of the issues that can arise in this sort of client-therapist interaction, and the biggest concern being that elements of this film that claims to be well-researched account of Stutz's therapy model could potentially result in a misguided understanding of psychotherapy in general. This documentary may have been an incredibly irresponsible piece of media to produce, and lines up with the aforementioned lack of respect when it comes to the importance of taking therapy seriously. Our runner-up on this list is the most widely known, but Jonah's career built upon movies that promote less than ideal themes. Although Hill is a comedian and has some leeway when it comes to upsetting topics, it seems that he often laughs at difficult topics instead of making any sort of valuable commentary about them, in turn making these things seem okay to engage in. Such topics such as racism, sexism, fatphobia, male chauvinism, and assault all seem to be on the table for discussion. Although these things are allowed to be talked about in a comedic manner, context matters, and teaching young audiences that these things are acceptable is never a great thing to base your career off of. Which, hey, maybe that's why he wants to be taken so seriously in interviews. Teaching a generation that it's not only okay but also funny to disregard and harass women, say offensive and hurtful comments, and break the law must serve as a red flag that this guy might not be that great. Our number 1 spot goes to his misogynistic and narcissistic tendencies. Sarah Brady's experience of dating Jonah Hill seems to have been rooted in his need to quote seek out a fun, exciting girl full of life and light, and then try to destroy exactly what made those girls shine, as said by Twitter user Dr. Una Miklevina. From Brady's text exchanges with Jonah Hill, it's clear that he intended to rob her of her whimsy and joy. Una continues by saying, for those who think Jonah is just setting boundaries, he chose to be with a surf instructor and then tried to control the thing she loved to destroy it. This happens all the time. These are the first steps to coercive control. Brady added that someone being an emotionally abusive partner doesn't mean they're a terrible person, as it often stems from their own trauma, but at the same time, it doesn't mean it's okay. Being aware of how someone may hide their intentions to control you or another person through making you feel as though they are the victim is incredibly important to know and be vigilant of.
Number 10, War Veteran. Pete grabbed a lot of media attention after his appearance on SNL's Weekend Update segment. What really left fans upset was the comedian joking about the appearance of a candidate running for office. Backlash for the comments really started brewing as clips circulated from from the segment where he mocks a Republican candidate who wears an eye patch. Dan Crenshaw was a former Navy SEAL who was running as the Republican candidate. Unfortunately, lost his eye after an explosion while serving in Afghanistan and is a combat veteran. In the segment, Pete joked about Dan, saying that he looks like a hitman in a movie. After seeing this, he seemed to realize what a mistake it was and said, "I'm sorry, I know he lost his eye in the war or whatever." Dan saw the segment and took to Twitter to share how this made him feel. He wrote, "Good rule in life. I try hard not to offend. I try harder not to be offended. That being said, I hope SNL recognizes that vets don't deserve to see their wounds used as punchlines for bad jokes." Many viewers came to the veterans' defense. One tweeted, "It made me sad to see our wounded veterans used as punchlines in a twisted hate fest on national TV shows in this way." Another commented back and added, "The fact that this so-called joke was approved by the entire staff of writers is horrific." Even Pete's co-stars weren't too pleased with the comment either, and Kean Thompson shared how he felt about this, admitted that it seemed he had gone too far with this one. He said, "My father's a Vietnam veteran, and personally I would just never go there. But it's tough when you're fishing for jokes." Pete did end up issuing an apology, but what did you guys think about that joke? Number 9, the engagement ring. People really started questioning the timeline of Pete buying Ariana's ring and maybe if it previously was meant to belong to someone else. After he got out of a 2-year relationship with Cassie David, it didn't take him long to move on to Ariana Grande and propose. Proposing just weeks after dating is a pretty wild thing for anybody. He shared how he did it in an interview not long after and admitted, "We were in bed hanging. After watching a movie, I was like, 'Will you marry me?' It was dope." It ended up lasting not too long though, and the two ended up breaking it all off after about 5 months, leaving many to believe, when did he actually get that ring? Celebrity jeweler Greg Yuna revealed that Pete first reached out for the nearly $100,000 engagement ring. Greg shared, "Pete called me at the end of May and said, 'I'm getting a ring and this is what I want.' He didn't tell me who it was for, but he told me to keep it a secret." This is definitely weird considering Pete and Cassie broke up May 16th, 2018, so it didn't take long to get engaged to Ariana. Could the ring have initially been meant for Cassie? Cassie seemed to take this whole thing in stride though, and after they announced their engagement, she posted on Instagram saying, "Been in Africa, what did I miss?" Number 8, pushing a fan. Just recently, a video published by TMZ came out showing Pete pushing a fan that looked to be getting a little bit too excited to see him. The man appeared to approach from behind and put his arm around him. Continuing to appear to get into his personal space, Pete ended up pushing the man off him, then shaking his head, looking to tell him to knock it off. Before this went down, Pete reportedly was very excited to be there and looked to be in pretty good spirits. Many fans did seem to be on Pete's side though, agreeing that no one should be getting in anyone's personal space. One fan wrote, "In all other clips, I've seen that guy in there trying to grab at him. He was obviously annoying him for a while." Another added, "Being touched without permission warrants it." Others were kind of unsure though, commenting on the man's age as well as how hard the push looked to be. Another viewer commented on the clip on TikTok saying, "If he was a 19-year-old female, he wouldn't have cared." Number 7, the tattoos. How soon is too soon to get a tattoo for your significant other, in your opinion? For Pete, it looks like any time is the right time. Pete started getting tattoos for his then girlfriend Kim Kardashian pretty early on. When Kim was asked about it, she shared on the Ellen show, "He has a few new ones." And I'm like, oh, that's cute, but that's what tattoo people do, right? They get tattoos of what's going on in their life. Pete got a few tattoos of Kim, with one even being in celebration of Kim passing the baby bar. He got a tattoo that said, "My girl is a lawyer." But the one that really made fans concerned was the tattoo of her kid's initials. The tattoo in his neck read KNSCP, which looks to be for Kim and her 4 kids that she had with her ex-husband Kanye. Fans considered this the ultimate red flag, with one writing, "Branding your girl of a few months' name on your body is weirdo behavior." Another added, "These are children, creepy beyond belief." Number 6, we have the Manchester joke. A joke that really seemed to miss the mark was when Pete joked about the Manchester bombing, which happened at his then girlfriend Ariana Grande's concert. 22 people passed away due to a homemade explosion outside the arena after Ariana's concert. Pete made a joke on SNL saying that she must know just how famous she really is now, explaining that Britney Spears didn't have an attack at any of her concerts. A parent of one of the victims that lost their life came forward to share just how horrible this joke was, and said, said, "For anyone to joke about the situation is disgusting, and I think he should publicly apologize for it." She continued on by saying, "The families will find it equally as disgusting. We don't need to hear jokes about it." The parents even stressed how horrifying this joke must be to hear for Ariana, considering it was made by her then boyfriend. Following the intense backlash, Pete's representative came forward and explained that no joke is off limits for him. They said, "He is a comedian, no subject is off limits." Number 5, Staten Island. Pete has been pretty open about how he feels about his hometown of Staten Island, and it's not great. He answered the question about how he feels about his hometown and responded by saying, "F them all, they all suck. They have nothing to do with me or my success. It's a terrible borough filled with terrible people. A tidal wave could take out Staten Island and I wouldn't even move in my sleep." So it sounds decently harsh to many. Pete tried to explain that people should see more humor in it, and shared, "It was a joke, a serious joke. You know when you're joking but you mean it." Clearly not much is going to change his mind about Staten Island, and I'm sure for the locals that feeling is mutual. Number 4, Cassie David. Cassie David is known for a lot of things, her dad being Larry David, being a web series creator, author, etc. But the main thing people have been associating her with is having dated Pete Davidson. When the two broke up after about 2.5 years, Cassie came out with an essay collection titled "No One Asked for This," revealing the aftermath of a breakup like this. She shared that the two took a brief break from their relationship in 2018 until she quickly backpedaled and realized it wasn't what she wanted, and she really did want to be with him. She admitting to calling the comedian just days later to work out their issues, but he told her that he was the happiest he had ever been without her. Reportedly, just 2 days after this phone call, he texted her to officially put an end to the relationship. Allegedly, within 24 hours of that, she became aware that Pete was already moved on and with Ariana Grande, and she saw a photo posted showing that he had covered his tattoos, which were originally inspired by her. The tattoos included a cartoon portrait of Cassie as well as her name on his ring finger. To add salt to the wound, it was only a few weeks after the breakup that he was engaged to Ariana. 2 years after this heartbreak, Cassie recalls the breakup as being the really pivotal moment in her life, and even said in her essay, "Writing about it has caused me a ton of anxiety, especially because I talk so much about hating the attention that it brought me. But there's nothing that's going to be worse than what I already experienced with that." Number 3, the car crash. Pete Davidson found himself in trouble with the law after crashing his car with his rumored girlfriend in the passenger seat just earlier this March. He was behind the wheel of a Mercedes and speeding down the Flats neighborhood of Beverly Hills. Pete ended up crashing his car into a home in the neighborhood, scaring a teenager who was home alone at the time. According to the girl, the sound was so intense that she believed that she was actually in the middle of an earthquake. The homeowner told TMZ that the car hit the house just outside of the living room, causing damage to the outer wall. But luckily no one was hurt. For now, it looks like the owners are still waiting on a full report from the police before they plan on turning it over to their insurance company. But how does something like this even happen? Allegedly, Pete lost control while speeding when he jumped a curb and crashed into the house. Looks like the case is being reviewed by the LA County District Office, and Pete could soon face criminal charges. Number 2, Tic Tacs. Another joke that Pete made during the Weekend Update segment on SNL that really didn't land is the Tic Tac joke. While Pete was engaged briefly to Ariana, he would discuss her periodically on the show. During this segment, he was talking to the host, Colin Just, about how different his life was since he got engaged. And though most of the jokes were pretty well received, one really didn't sit well with viewers. He said during the episode, "Last night I switched her birth control with Tic Tacs. I believe in us and all, but I just want to make sure she can't go anywhere." Viewers took to Twitter to talk about their outrage. One wrote, "Pete Davidson has been pretty funny, except for the birth control swapped with Tic Tacs joke." They went on to write, "Do not mess with a woman's birth control. We need that stuff." Another added writing, "That TikTok birth control joke was gross." Others stated that they believed this comment was misogynistic and that this wasn't something to joke about whatsoever. Pete has always been known to push the boundaries on comedy though, so this joke really wasn't a surprise to his fans. Number 1, the outburst. Pete was the cause of a pause to production on his new comedy show after he reportedly had a meltdown on set. It is reported that Pete threw 2 candles through the window and a cup of coffee at the walls. Because of this situation, it's been claimed that the production team had to eventually ask the star to take some time away. Initially, it was reported that the comedian was looking to take some time to focus on himself. The Sun made an update that Pete was actually under quite a bit of stress and everything was just becoming way too much for him to handle. A few believe that this could be a reaction to when he split up with his then girlfriend Kim Kardashian. The split is speculated to have ended because of conflicting schedules and the inability to see each other, and it just wasn't seeming to work long distance. Regardless of why, reports claim that the outburst must have been pretty bad considering they pushed Pete to take some time off, which is said to be very unusual for the team to allow.
At number 10, caught using racial slurs. In 2009, Prince Harry was dealt a huge blow to his reputation when a video emerged of him using racial slurs against members of his own army platoon while they waited to be deployed from Sandhurst Military Academy. In the video, which appears to have been taken by Harry himself, you can hear the prince using offensive language as well as insensitive racial comments. The media referred to this coming out as Harry's latest successful attempt to shoot himself in the foot. His remarks were splashed in the news of the world and were condemned by politicians and some British Muslim spokesmen. Harry, of course, was forced to make a public apology and to try and save the royal family from further embarrassment. In his statement, Harry said that he understood the impact of his words and the offense they could cause. The video was taken a few years prior when Harry was 21, which is certainly old enough to know that what he was saying was unacceptable and unnecessary. The video was relentlessly played around the world, so his apology seemed a little forced, but I guess like most things within the royal family, we just moved on and it was eventually overshadowed by the next scandal. At number 9, stepping down. When Harry announced that he was dating Meghan Markle, I don't think anyone could have ever guessed what would happen in just a few years. In a short period of time, Meghan began being absolutely bombarded by the British press, paparazzi, people online, and many others. Apparently, the general consensus was that she was no good for Harry, a bad fit for the royal family, and as time went on, Markle was only accused of being a horrible person and breaking up the family more and more. The more people talked about Meghan, the more people talked about the potential of her leaving the royal life behind. Some thought that Harry would never join her in a million years, but a majority of people invested saw that nothing was getting in the way of Harry and his wife, including his family. Even tabloids accused her of breaking up the family early on, and as we all know now, that's exactly what happened. Not only did the couple step down, but they went down swinging, milking everything they could out of no longer being royals. With multiple interviews, a docuseries, and a memoir, the couple did not leave quietly, even though a lot of people wished they had. At number 8, sneaky Halloween. It seems that in the past, any chance Harry had to rebel the royals, he took, even following him into adulthood. During the first half of their docuseries, Meghan and Harry, the couple shared lots of personal memories and unseen photos. One specific event they talked about was Halloween 2016. This happened before they went public with their relationship, so I can't imagine the royal family would have approved of the outing. Meghan mentioned the Halloween party when she previously went on Ellen, telling the talk show host that they were in Toronto, and since it was Halloween, it was a perfect time to go out without being noticed. Harry and Meghan shared previously unseen photographs of them along with cousin Princess Eugenie, her husband Jack Brooksbank, and their friend Marcus. Markle shared that this was actually the couple's final night out before spilling the news of their relationship to the public. The group was all decked out in Mad Max style outfits, including hats, goggles, face masks, and some makeup to appear a bit rough around the edges. Whatever they were dressed as in the photos is quite the opposite of what we see when they're in their royal family mode. This alone just proves that he and Meghan were already finding ways to go against the royals before they even went public. At number 7, holding out hope. Of course, in Spare, Harry talks about his mother, Princess Diana. Losing a parent is hard on any person at any age, and grief is quite the thing to deal with, and Harry opened up about what it looked like for him. He reveals in the book that he only cried once after Diana was gone, and it was once her coffin actually went into the ground. After that, there was never another time. The reason he spent his teenage years dry-eyed over his mother is because young Harry didn't believe she was really gone. He told Anderson Cooper on 60 Minutes, "For a long time I just refused to accept that she was gone. Part of, you know, she would never do this to us, but also part of, maybe this is all part of a plan." Harry then revealed that he really believed that she would eventually call and they would be reunited for many years. He also talked about how William and him would even discuss the theory with his brother sharing similar thoughts. Clearly, from a young age, those boys knew that the family had a lot of power to even pull off such a thing. In Spare, Harry writes, "I'd often say to myself first thing in the morning, maybe this is the day. Maybe this is the day she's gonna reappear." Harry said he held on to his huge amounts of hope into adulthood. At number 6, isolated from the family. In his memoir, Harry writes about visiting Balmoral during his grandmother's final days and how isolated he felt from the rest of the family, even though he had just been putting all of his energy into exposing them, talking badly about them, and trying to get as far away as possible from them. Harry returned to the UK after he and Meghan made their official exit for a charity event in London. While he was there, the palace announced that the Queen was under medical supervision at her castle in Scotland. Harry planned to head over to see her right away, so he asked his brother, "What are your plans? How are you and Kate getting there?" Since he was was already in the UK, it would make sense that he would fly with the family. Harry then revealed that just a couple of hours later, all the members that live within the Windsor area were jumping on a plane together, and he was left to find his own way there. I think the fact that his entire family would rather fly separately is a red flag in itself, but the fact that he couldn't wrap his head around why they would do it only makes it worse. At number 5, a sea of photographers. In their docuseries, Harry and Meghan talked about the press a lot and how they would not leave Meghan alone from the minute the couple went public. One of the images used in the 6-part series meant to showcase the volume of photographers they face is apparently from a movie premiere that happened before the couple was even a couple. The black and white image of rows of photographers is included in the teaser for the series just before Harry says, "I had to do everything I could to protect my family." This clearly implies that the photographers in the image were taking pictures of him and Meghan. Well, apparently that's not even close. According to The Sun, the sea of cameras were in reality taking pictures of the cast of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2 at the premiere for the film in 2011. Photographer for the publication Doug Seberg, who's in the image, said there were no members of the royal family at the event. Really makes you wonder if they had to use images out of context to prove the paparazzi were bad. Were they really that bad? At number 4, inappropriate costume. In January 2005, British paper The Sun published a full front page photo of Harry sporting an extremely offensive anti-Semitic costume at a party. Not only was the costume offensive and outdated, it was a lazy costume too, just a white shirt and an armband. There are so many other things you can add to a white button-down to make a costume that isn't offensive. The prince was 20 at the time, and after a wave of backlash and criticism, he quickly released a statement of apology. It read, "Prince Harry has apologized for any offense or embarrassment he has caused. He realizes it was a poor choice of costume." Funny that he only realized after the party and not while putting it on. For a family that's not supposed to have any opinions on politics, this is especially not what you want to be caught promoting. To top it off, Harry wrote about the costume in his memoir, and instead of taking full responsibility and just apologizing again, he dragged Prince William and Kate into it, saying they were the ones who encouraged him to wear such an outfit. At number 3, Harry's substance use. Back in the day, Prince Harry went through what tabloids labeled as a wild child phase, as most young men do. A lot of people just brushed his behavior off, especially when it came out that Charles found out about the young prince's experimentation, taking him along to a rehab center for a day. However, it was still a lot of people's impression that Harry was struggling regardless of his father's lousy attempt to steer him straight. In his memoir, Spare, Harry goes into detail about the severity of his problem and that it wasn't just a teen boy being a teen boy, he was trying to cope with the passing of his mother. He admitted that he had a lot of anger inside of him for a long time that he never expressed to anybody. This led the prince to resort to drinking heavily. Harry explained that he wanted to numb the feeling and distract himself. Of course, now he knows that this was not the way to achieve it. Luckily for Harry, his problem didn't get so bad he ended up getting hurt, but a lot of his antics can be explained now that the secret has been confirmed. All of those people who knew something was off with Harry during his wild phase were right. Harry did have a bigger problem than Charles thought. At number 2, remembering wrong. In his memoir, Harry recalls his great-grandmother and where he was upon finding out that the Queen Mother had passed. He gives a painstakingly detailed recount of the phone call he received while at Eton College, informing him of the news in 2002. He wrote, "At Eton, while studying, I took the call. I wish I could remember whose voice was on the other end, a courtier's I believe. I recall it was just before Easter, the weather bright and warm, light slanting through my window, filled with vivid colors. This memory is sweet of him to share, but I think it would be even sweeter if it were true." When it comes to Prince Harry, his entire life pretty much has been documented, so it's pretty easy to fact check. When he found out about his great-grandmother, Harry was not in fact at Eton. Resurfaced paparazzi photographs placed Harry in Gloucester, Switzerland that weekend. A royal commentator, Richard Fitzwilliams, told Mail Online, "With a book so controversial that he can't afford mistakes such as this. If he makes an error in his own memory, what else is he saying that's untrue?" And at number 1, Prince Harry caught naked. 10 years ago in 2012, 27-year-old Prince Harry set out on a boys' trip to Las Vegas. He was on a break before he was set to serve in Afghanistan for the British Army. While in Vegas, he decided to partake in a cheeky game of strip billiards, which clearly isn't his game. Photos were snapped of the prince sporting absolutely nothing but a hand in front of the family jewels. The British media had an absolute heyday with the leaked photos, running them on the front page with headlines like "Harry grabs the crown" and "Here it is." The photo was reposted all over the internet, and even Lady Gaga commented on it saying, "Holy mother, Harry looks fit. Hope no one's mad at him for that, I'm certainly not." The royal family was in fact not pleased with Harry's Vegas antics. After the incident, Harry made a statement, "At the end of the day, I probably let myself down, but it was probably a classic example of me probably being too much army and not enough prince. It's a simple case of that." I think Harry was just having harmless fun with his friends. Clearly, the royal family had their hands full with Harry. I guess that trip he learned that what happens in Vegas does not stay in Vegas.